straightened up, hand pressed to the small of her back, and fixed her shoulders. Gleaning behind the reapers was harder work than she had imagined it would be, even though these harvesters were leaving her grain to glean, not stripping the ground bare as they probably ought to do. She went to the water jars, dipped herself a cupful, and downed it in practically one swallow. It scarcely cut the dust that seemed to coat her mouth and throat, but even so, it was a blessing she was willing to rate right up there next to air to breathe. Truly, Boaz had been as good as his word. Bending to her work again, she remembered the twisted path which had brought her to this grain field in Bethlehem, gleaning grain so she and her mother-in-law, Naomi, would have something to eat. Naomi and her husband, Elimelech, had fled from Bethlehem of Judah with their two sons, Chilion and Mahlon, to escape the famine that affected the countryside, and had settled in Moab. After a time, Elimelech died, and Naomi kept house for her sons until they married. To the delight of her family, Mahlon chose Ruth, while her best friend Orpah was given to the eager Chilion by her family. They lived in harmony for 10 years. She and Orpah had found in Naomi a real mother and spouses who had learned from their father how to be good husbands, and from their mother how to treat women respectfully, yet keep them secure. She and Orpah had agreed they had gotten treasures in their marriage. Then the unthinkable happened. Without warning and with days of each other, Mahlon and Chilion had died, leaving the three women bereft, clinging to each other in their grief and desperation, with no idea how they were going to go on living without the young men's presence and support. Ruth shuddered, remembering their desolation. For her, Naomi had been the only island of safety in the world, and she found that her mother-in-law leaned on her and Orpah, even as she sustained them. The ending of the famine in Judah was what had finally resolved the tangle left by the deaths of Mahlon and Chilion. Naomi, with her own name too hard to bear, started calling herself Mara, which meant bitter one. She packed up the household and with Ruth and Orpah set out on the road back to Bethlehem. They had not gone far down the road when Naomi stopped and faced them. "Go back to your mother's homes," she said, freeing them from the responsibility for her, which had come with their marriages to her sons. "May the Lord God be as good to you as you have been to my sons who have died."